De La Soul there with I Know, and before that you heard the Beastie Boys, Pass the Mic. You're on 107.9 FM, my name's Lincoln James, and I, like many, have been witness to the odd confrontation on a night out. But what happens when a night turns violent, and who's left to pick up the pieces? Kirsty Little is a one-punch law's advocate, for good reason. She's with me to talk about victims of such attacks. Kirsty, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, according to research carried out by the Australian Bureau of Statistics from 2013 to 2014, over 418,000 Australians over the age of 15 reported having experienced at least one physical assault, with over 540,000 being threatened with assault. Many victims of assault are left permanently disabled and some even die. What do you think is fueling these attacks?
Basically, Lincoln, there's two major factors in the increase of violence, and that would be alcohol and drug use. The numbers for binge drinking and also ice and amphetamine use has been on the increase over the last few years in staggering numbers, and which is also leading to the increase in violence. If you also take that away, what we're finding is young people in schools are having more violence attacks during school time as well, and there's a lot of violence against teachers and also against students, which is then carrying on to when they get older. It's now carrying on to when they go out and start drinking and socialising and partying. People have this idea that it's okay to hit or cow punch someone, and what they really don't understand is that it only takes one punch or one push to injure someone for the rest of their life, or even kill that person. Something that we really need to get that message across to them now.
Now, in January 2006, your brother was a victim of violent assault. How has this affected both you and your family?
Well, it's really affected the family in a way that we didn't understand it would do, and that was my mum and myself both suffered depression from that incident. I guess through guilt and not being able to be there and help him and stuff like that. But also what people don't understand is it affects younger generations as well. So my son at the time was about 2.5 years old, and he'll never know that uncle that was before the assault. All he knows is it's the uncle that's in the chair and talks funny. And that's
how did this leave your brother?
Well, it left him with brain damage because he was without oxygen for 2 minutes, and also the damage from the assault itself. He left it he was in a wheelchair. He had a 7-minute memory, speech problems. He rotted in aged care for 4 years, where he didn't make any improvements. Before moving to age-appropriate care, which has led onto improvements to his ability. So he's now starting to walk. His speech is coming back. So he's got a real good future happening, but he's still going to have residual brain damage for the rest of his life. There's some things he can never change.
So what was the sentence handed out for assaulting your brother?
Well, there was 2 gentlemen that actually assaulted my brother. The first one was deemed to have less involvement, so he had 2 years with a minimum of 4. And also the one that had the major involvement, he was given 4 years with a minimum of 8. The DPP then appealed that sentence, and then they were added on. So it was, I think it was 4 years with a minimum of 8, and then 8 years with a minimum of 12. So, yeah, it was quite heartbreaking to hear those first sentences, to the point where it made things worse with the family. We were quite devastated by those first sentences.
With all this in mind, what do you think governments and the community can do to tackle this issue?
I think we need funding to start an education program within high schools. I'd probably like to see it start in Year 6, because you're starting to see younger kids are starting to be violent as well. But probably an education program for Year 6 to right up to Year 12, where they have this program every year and have people come in and tell them, basically, this is how it's affected my family, or this is how it's affected me. That way they can see firsthand how just this one punch or one push has affected families and affected other people. I think the government needs to spend funding to get this program out. There's a program in Melbourne called Step Back and Punch, and that is from a group of friends that had a friend that was attacked and has got brain damage and in a wheelchair. They're doing really good things in Melbourne. I'd really like to see a similar program come out in Perth and in schools and hopefully to get this violence lessening as well.
Kirsty Little, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Lincoln. Thank you for listening.
You're listening to The Hammock on Radio Fremantle.
Kirsty Little there, talking about victims of violent assault. And if you or a friend have been affected by violence in your community and you need someone to talk to, please contact the police. It's just hit past and it's time to get into something a little bit different. I'm going to play you a track now. Old school, it's 1992. This is Eric B. and Rakim. Keep the beat. You're on 107.9 FM.